Drea and Bill Margold are with us tonight on Sex Talk. Hello, Mike.
Hello. Yeah, I wanted to see if your guests could rate their fellow actors and actresses, and if they didn't want to play favorites, I could drop some names to get some comments.
Okay.
I don't care. I'm very open about this.
All right. Well, when we have your competition on, we'll ask them to do the same thing. How's that? That's fair. Okay, Bill. Among which, men or women, Mike?
Oh, we'll start out with women.
Drop the names, and I'll tell you what I think of them.
Well, my favorite is Veronica Hart.
Outstanding actress, beautiful woman, recently apparently retired from...
Okay.
Next name.
How about May Lynn? It seems to me that she doesn't get very good roles in the industry. You know, she gets like little bit parts or something. You think, as a director, you think I could put in a good word for her?
Well, it's racial typecasting, and I just worked with May Lynn, in fact, in a movie called Desire, and she was lamenting that she wasn't getting the lead and stuff like that. May Lynn has an insatiable sexual appetite, one of the hottest women I've ever worked with. She loves to make love on camera. She will inhale an entire crew after she's done with the actors. So that alone is A triple plus performance in my book. She is what the X-rated industry is all about. On the reverse side of the coin, Jamie Gillis, my idol, is the male version of May Lynn. Totally hedonistic, out for any kind of sex he can get, and that's the way a porn star should be. I'm not that hedonistic. I'm not into the gay aspects of life. I'm locked in my own little closet, leading life, as James Dean put it, with one hand tied behind my back. I lament over that.
But you say you were in Intimate Lessons?
Yes, I was. I played the chauffeur.
The chauffeur, oh,
Yes.
I see.
You missed my best scenes. They were cut out of the film. I had sex with 2 cooked chickens. I ejaculated onto hot sauna bath coals. I was whipped, and then I got off in a vice. They took those scenes out. It upset the people.
I don't blame them.
It upset you, too, huh?
Didn't bother me. Yeah, it upset me after they cut them out.
Right. Okay, Mike?
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
All right, bye.
Howard, we have just a couple of minutes with you.
Okay, I just wanted to ask a real quick question to both of you. Did you ever have this situation where your leading lady or leading man was somebody you really didn't like? And if so, how did you go about...
Let's have Drea answer that one.
I'm sorry?
Drea, we're going to have her answer that for you.
Okay, well, you do run into that problem on certain occasions. Now that I have been around for a little over 3 years, I tend to be picky about who I work with. I would rather work with the John Holmes or the Bill Margolds or the Jamie Gillises and so forth down the line, because I know they're good and they're going to be able to do what they are there to do. The young ones I try to shy away from, because I'm not there to break anybody in. That's not what I'm getting paid for. If you don't want to work with someone for reasons such as perhaps they haven't bathed in the last couple of days, then you can merely walk up to the director or the producer and tell them, I don't want to work with this person.
I quit, you bet.
And they won't make you.
And there it is. Thanks very much, Howard.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Drea and Bill, thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank
you. We'll look for you tomorrow morning on People Are Talking on Channel 5. And we'll also go out and see your latest one, Fantasy Follies, which you brought in for $60,000.
Yeah.
Now, you said proudly, that's a lot of money. And I thought, Lord, that's not very much money at all for a film.
It's a lot of money in this industry. A videotape, it should be brought in for maybe around 25 or 30,000, but this is packed full of superstars.
That's wonderful. Bill and Drea, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time you're up here in our Great Bay Area, let us know and we'll have you on again.
Thank you.
Stand by, lovers. We're going to be talking next with Dan Beaver, marriage counselor, and about his new book, Beyond Marriage Fantasy, on Sex Talk. I'm Don Chamberlain. I do, don't you?
Probably.
It goes way back.
Yeah.
How you doing, Dan?
Days. I'm doing fine. Thanks.
Dan Beaver from Relationship Counseling Center in Walnut Creek.
Right.
Still out there at the same old pop stand.
Same place.
Yeah. And his new book, which has just been brought out, it's called Beyond the Marriage Fantasy. And how long ago was it you gave me the galley proofs of that to read? That was, what,
3 years,
3 years
ago,
ago?
2 years ago.
Still have that in my home library.
Got a real souvenir there.
Yeah.
Collector's item.
Absolutely. Beyond the Marriage Fantasy.
Right.
And Harper & Rose just brought it out, and now it's in all the bookstores. And
Hopefully, yes.
And
Get it.
it's really different from most of the how-to books. It's a sort of book that really hits home with this whole, well, as the title suggests, this whole fantasy of what we should be as a husband, what we should be as wife and mother and all that stuff. And what prompted you to write was obviously the people coming into your practice out in the Relationship Counseling Center over the years. And what were some of the trends you kept seeing in relationships that were coming to you?
Well, I definitely kept hearing the same storyline over and over again. You know, they would come in and they looked good, and it seemed like they had accomplished all the right things and, you know, did the right role modeling and were successful in a sense and didn't fight. But something was missing in their life. They were more like roommates, they felt, and they felt guilty almost being there because they weren't, you know, a real nasty kind of situation. And
nothing really wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet they were in my office. And so I started writing about the story, the marriage fantasy, which is basically a script that they followed, that they kind of modeled like the TV shows I used to watch, you know, and Ozzie and Harriet and Father Knows Best, and they had the nice scene, but it's not working for them. And I think people who've been, you know, grew up in the 60s particularly and don't have this idea of wanting just kind of grin and bear it as maybe their parents did.
Yeah.
And so they're wanting more out of a relationship, but the problem is not knowing how to get it.
Sure.
Everybody wants a good marriage, everyone wants it to work out, but they don't have the ability to get it, and that's the catch-22. And so in the book I tried to define the fantasy and make, you know, show that everybody's not all that unique in a sense, but then okay, how do we get beyond this thing? How do we make it what everybody wants? And there's a limited supply. You might think that there's 1 million books on marriage, but none of them gets to it, you know. And
No, that's right.
And we weren't taught in school, that's for sure, you know.
I wanted to ask you, Dan, where do you think we get all this, all these messages and these role models of what we should be as husband and wife? Where does it come from?
Well, one, like I said, was from television. I think the media of the 50s and early 60s had a great influence on our ideas on how it should be. And the other one is our own parents, just growing up in our own families. I think that these little subtle messages on how a woman or how a husband and wife should be were perpetrated there. It was done very subtly. You know, it wasn't done like blatant messages. It was done over time. And I think that's basically where they came from.
But our society has changed, and,
Right.
our relationship structures have changed.
Definitely.
Now, very often we find both people are working out of choice and necessity, and so it's not like our parents'
No, and that's
marriages
where the
years
rub
ago.
comes in, because we've been set up with this fantasy that I was talking about, and then we have the changes such as the women's movement, and the roles of women are totally different than 1956 or 60. And then the economy, like you said, both people working instead of the woman staying home and taking care of the kids, and the man's the sole breadwinner. We have all these changes that have occurred for sure, but we still have that mental idea on how it's supposed to be, and then comes the conflict.
As I was driving to work today, Dan, I was thinking, you know, we all start out in relationships, man and woman in a relationship, and golly, is just grand and
Right.
glorious, and everything works.
Right.
We do everything right. And then it goes on, isn't this wonderful? My golly, let's make this one last a lifetime. We got married. What is it that changes?
What changes is that those roles that we were talking about, how you start being husband and wife with all the specific shoulds. And where before we were two individuals, in a sense. And it's like they could have the greatest relationship, but then their roles change. The other thing is that when they get married, then they start to take the relationship for granted. They
Yeah.
think that it's forever and ever, and then they kick back and they stop putting energy into the relationship, where if you're living with somebody, you know if you lay back too long, they're going to leave. And so there's that energy input that changes. But I would say the roles are probably the major difference. Once that paper's signed, it's like these unwritten or these subconscious computer tapes in our brain come into play. The role being the good wife and the role being the good husband, and they just get in the way.
Oh, boy, do they.
Yeah. Stop being people.
And also, I was talking with one of your compatriots the other day on the show from San Jose, and Linda Janowitz. And she's noticing that, and I'm sure you've seen the same thing, that many of the couples coming into her have almost a total lack of intimacy in their relationships.
Right.
And she says she asked them very specifically, how much time a week do you actually spend consciously on the relationship?
With no kids and no television,
Yeah.
no other people, just how often, and it's, well, we're too busy, we don't have time.
It
See,
take-
that's a concept that they can put their relationship on hold. When
Yeah.
you're married, it's like, then it's on hold, it's going to be there forever. And so, you know, you can't put a plant in a closet and get back to it in a month. it's going to die. And so it's that kind of complacency that gets in there that kills it, I think.
Yeah, people spend more time paying the garbage bill than they do thinking about the relationship.
Right. And the reason for that, as I stated in the book, I think, is because they have a lot of unfinished business emotionally, a lot of built-up resentments, and they're afraid that if they do sit alone together with no diversions, then once they get through the superficial conversation, they're going to be faced with the reality of all that stuff, and it's too threatening. So they try to keep the peace in the moment and avoid.
That's interesting.
Right.
That's interesting.
And they
So-
look good. I mean, how can you fault them for being involved in their kids and other people and
Working
being busy
hard.
and working hard and being successful? But the bottom line is that the relationship gets ignored and the whole thing falls apart.
But you're saying, Dan, that instead of not having the time to spend on the relationship, that they actually are saying, I don't want to really look at it because
I think
I'm
it's an
afraid of it.
unconscious avoidance to deal with what is behind the wall that they built up.
Oh, that's scary, isn't it?
Definitely, because they were never taught how to have conflict.
No.
And conflict's scary if you don't know what you're doing.
How do you feel? Let's talk. I'll change that a bit.
How do I feel?
Yeah, how do you feel, Dan? Another of your compatriots in the industry of helping people, and Bernie Zilbergeld, has recently written a book called "The Shrinking of America."
We talk to each other.
And he's saying that as far as he's concerned, probably a good friend can be as great a therapist as any professional you could go to. And he's saying that the therapists really aren't all that successful. How successful do you think you are as a marriage counselor?
I feel really good about my success. I agree with some of what Bernie says about that. I have my doubts about a lot of what is in my field. But what I do is help people change and teach them. I feel more like a teacher a lot of times than a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
And because couples come in, they don't know how to have an intimate relationship. And it isn't that all mystical kind of thing. It's teaching real basic skills that we don't have. And love is nice, but that if the skills aren't there, the love is going to you're going to lose it. So I feel really good about my success rate, to answer your question. I measure success in change. People who come to see me usually are motivated to make a change. They're just frustrated in how to do it. And usually they're not that disturbed. They just are stuck, and they need some direction and getting off that. And a good friend, a lot of times a good friend can help, but a good friend, I find, can be very biased and has their own stuff that gets in the way.
Sure.
And in our culture, a lot of people, particularly out in Contra Costa County, are afraid to talk to their friends about personal stuff because they're into looking good, and they don't want to be vulnerable, and they don't want to let down. Women probably are able to do that much, much more than men, for sure. I mean, it goes without saying.
Well, there we are. Daniel Beaver from Relationship Counseling Center in Walnut Creek is our guest on Sex Talk until 8 o'clock. And if some of what he said and I've said has touched a nerve ending in your relationship, in your marriage, or whatever it is, and you want to talk more about that or ask questions of Dan, then dial us up right now, 928-0104, 928-0104. And by the way, the next time you're in a bookstore, look for Beyond the Marriage Fantasy, Dan Beaver's newest book, 928-0104. Let's get you involved now.
Now you can come to an old family friend for car insurance.
Erwin Fisher's in car insurance? I thought he was still in real estate.
No, your old family friend, J.C. Penney.
What's J.C. Penney got to do with insurance?
Well, have you ever stood in a store and said, I know I can get better value at Penney?
Sure, lots of times. So what?
Wouldn't you like to say the same thing about car insurance?
Thanks, but I'm already insured.
I know, but we suggest you call or bring your current policy to the J.C. Penney Insurance Center next time you're there. Unless, of course, your insurance is beyond compare.
Hardly. But haven't I heard this song before?
Probably. But even an old family friend wouldn't invite this kind of comparison if we didn't think we could serve you better. Now, would we?
Good point. But I've still got one question.
Yes?
What's any of this got to do with Erwin Fisher?
J.C. Penney Auto Insurance from an old family friend.
Insurance provided by the J.C. Penney Casualty Insurance Company. Dial toll-free 1-800-JCP-AUTO.
If you like playing all the games along the midway, if you like carnivals and kids and cotton candy, if you're just a little bit like me, you're gonna wanna come and see the San Mateo County Fair. If you're a kid or young at heart, the fun's about to start at the San Mateo County Fair.
Come on and get out of the house for some fun. It's fair time again in San Mateo. They've got flowers and animals and stars and cotton candy and a whole lot of other interesting things to see and do. Why, there's so much happening at the fair, you might want to spend your vacation there. 10 big action-packed days of fun and excitement. Watch for it July 22nd through the 31st.
The San Mateo County Fair.
It's your best entertainment buy.
Hi, this is Jim Plunkett, and I'm proud to announce the opening of our new 24-hour Nautilus Super Spas. That's right, 24-hour Nautilus Super Spas are here in San Jose to get you into shape 24 hours a day. I don't know a football player in the league who doesn't train on Nautilus equipment. It's proven to be the most effective equipment in the world. And right now, with our pre-grand opening specials, you can get involved in our Super Spas at a very low price. We've put in indoor pools, 50 Nautilus machines, spacious aerobics classes, separate and co-ed workout areas, and racquetball in each of the 4 Valley clubs. Work out on the most effective equipment in the world, Nautilus. And don't miss our pre-grand opening specials. It's time to start training now at our 24-hour Nautilus Super Spas.
Pre-grand opening family membership special. Buy a family membership and the second person gets half price off. So dial 408-RESULTS. That's 408-737-8587 now.
This is Sex Talk. Sex Talk is a program where we discuss human sexuality, sometimes in rather graphic terms, and may not be for everyone. Sex Talk is not a program for children, and parental guidance is strongly advised.
Well, it's really an opportunity for you tonight on Sex Talk to talk to a marriage counselor and not pay him.
Free advice.
Free advice. You don't give advice, do you?
No.
No. Give them some things to think about.
Definitely.
And you say, well, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? And as you say, we're never trained for marriage, for husband and wifehood.
No.
And so
it's supposed to happen naturally.
Sure. So you give them,
somebody.
People come in and you give them pretty basic training, don't you?
Yeah, definitely to start with.
Don't hit each other.
Communicate.
Communicate. That good old word again. Right. Hello, Joel.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm a virgin caller.
A virgin caller. Good Lord, stand by. Let's get the music out. The deflowering music.
I see.
For Joel. He's a virgin. A virgin no longer, Joel.
Thank you.
All right. What's on your mind?
Well, my wife and I got married a few years ago, and we used to have a very good sex life. And I was starting my own business, and she helped me out immensely. And she's a professional. She's got her own career. And now the sex is kind of gone. And I want to know how I can kind of change that.
What triggered something in me when you said that, Joel, was that you tied the sagging sex life together with you starting your own business and her helping you.
Well, I just wanted to give you a little background. Maybe that wasn't the best way to put it, but...
Well, sometimes things are connected when we say them like that anyway, so... go ahead, Dan.
What's your guess as to why that's happened?
Excuse me?
What's your guess as to why you think that might happen, the sex life's gone?
We work too damn hard, I think. I don't think we take time out. I don't know.
The old intimacy thing again, huh?
Work takes precedence over pleasure, maybe. How about how you dealing with the resentments?
I'm kind of containing it.
There's your answer. Because it's really hard to be close and sexually excited about somebody that you got a lot of resentment with. Buried, gets in the way. It's the biggest killer of a sex drive, and maybe that's true for her too. So that, to me, would be one place to really look.
What resentments do you have, Joel?
I don't know. I think they're hard to explain. Every time she comes in the door, I feel like I almost have to put on a show. You're so self-conscious of everything you do, so you don't upset someone. And it just, you try to make things go as smooth as they can. And it's not that we argue that much, but...
Right, you're avoiding arguments, and that's what's really taking the excitement and the intensity out of your relationship. So you'll have a calm relationship, but there will be boredom in the bedroom.
When should a couple decide it's time for professional help and it's beyond what they can handle by themselves?
When what they're doing isn't working, and they're just beating their head in the wall.
I don't think we're doing anything. I see the problem, I mean, we have sex, but not as often as I think we should, you know? We can go long periods, and I know it's affecting our relationship.
Does she agree with you?
Excuse me?
Does your wife agree with you?
I think so, yes. We've talked about it, but it's hard to pursue it any farther than that. I mean, I don't know where to go with it.
Well, it may not be, as Dan has suggested, that fixing your sex life is going to fix the other stuff. You
Right.
might
It sounds
start
like
at the other side.
there might be a relationship problem or outside the bedroom problem that's carrying into the bedroom with you. Because see, what makes a good sexual relationship good in my eyes is feeling, is emotion. And if you're blocking your emotions outside the bedroom because maybe you're afraid of getting a hassle or you don't want to make waves, then when you walk in the bedroom, this emotional flow isn't just going to happen. And so what happens is sexually it becomes kind of perfunctory. And then it gets boring, and then you tend to not want to do it too much.
It's not loving sex.
No, it's just the mechanics.
Good.
Yeah.
So I would suggest talking about how you're feeling about the relationship in general and not focus so much on the sex part, because that might be just a symptom.
Kemosabe.
Definitely try that.
So what do you plan to do, Joel?
Well, I think we better sit down and have a long conversation on where we're going, where we've been, and how to get where we want to go.
Do you think both of you want to keep this relationship if you can?
I know I do, and I think she does. But like I said, she travels a lot and I travel a lot, and it's time we don't have it together. You know, and the time we do have, it's limited, and it's not the good sharing we used to have.
Well, Joe, I feel frustrated because I hear your pain, and I'd love to, tell you a lot of stuff. We don't have time, but, not to hype my book too much, but I would suggest maybe you might pick that up because it might zero in right where you're at. And I talk about sex in it, too, and I think that might help you, at least as a starter.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, Joel.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
We asked some of the world's foremost authorities how they thought the people at KPRO could sell a professional computer for just $1,595 complete.
Well, I think they make them in trailers down in Tijuana.
I don't know. Are they, Army surplus?
I think they probably import them from Michigan.
Because as amazing as it seems, a KPRO 2 is made with the same disk drives as personal computers from IBM. A more complete keyboard than the newest Apple.
I think they make them out of old video games.
I don't know how they do it, but I hope they start making cars.
Yet with a green screen monitor, 2 disk drives, and all the functional software, a KPRO 2 now lists for just $1,595 complete.
Complete?
Complete.
Complete?
Complete.
Complete?
The complete computer from KPRO for just $1,595 complete.
I think they are completely out of their mind.
Sex Talk is the name of the show. Dan Beaver is our guest, and his latest book, the first book, isn't it? You haven't done any others.
There's one coming.
Is there?
How meat and potato sex can become gourmet.
That's one of your favorite phrases.
Right.
And his book is called Beyond the Marriage Fantasy. It's published by Harper & Row, and it's just out, and certainly is available in your bookstore. And Dan's practice is Relationship Counseling Center in Walnut Creek. He and a number of associates have been out there for how many years?
10.
10 years. Golly. Same pops
Time
down,
flies,
too.
yeah.
Same place. Those are good quarters there. All right, let's go to the phone and talk with Paul. Hello, Paul.
Hello, how you doing?
Fine.
Listen, just very much along the same lines of your previous caller.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my wife and I, we haven't been married exceptionally long, and our problem is that she works days like 8 to 5, and I work 2 to 10.
Oh, boy, that's a strain.
And then, my time off is between, is in the middle of the week, and then she has the weekends off.
Oh, boy.
What can we add, or what would be ways of, enhancing the intimacy that we do have together?
Boy, attention, huh?
Yeah.
Plus, on top of it, I'm a county medic, driving an ambulance and everything else. So.
Well, with that kind of lifestyle, Glenn, I would think that it'd be really important to make time, obviously, for you two to be together. It's almost like you need to date each other and set a specific time where you two connect in an intimate way where the quality's good without a lot of diversion.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll probably lose your relationship because you're just passing in the hallway kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't so much how often, it's really the quality of that time, because it can be really intense if you...
Right. We do look forward, when I come home in the evening, spending a few hours together, and, and then going to bed and preparing for the following day at work.
It is true, isn't it, Paul and Dan, that we forget about dating when we get married?
It is. It is, actually. We've gone through that and had our, fights and arguments over that, and today was the first time I've ever even heard the program. And I'm sorry, I gotta go. I got a call.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, I missed the name. Sorry.
Yeah, when the bells ring, the fire horses come out of the stable, huh?
Off and running.
But let's comment about that. Dan.
The idea is a lot of people think it's ludicrous to date your wife or your husband, and I think that that's super important, and not in the sense of, see, they feel like once you make the conquest, then you don't have to do that anymore. You have somebody, but in doing that, you lose that. You're taking it for granted again.
We're going to save money. We don't have to buy the candy and flowers anymore.
Right, but then you lose being lovers and you start being roommates.
Yeah. Okay, 928-0104, and Daniel Beaver, the author of Beyond the Marriage Fantasy and counselor in the Relationship Counseling Center in Walnut Creek, is our guest on Sex Talk this evening. Your opportunity to examine with Dan what's going on in your relationship. If you'd like to make it better, perhaps he can give you some ideas to think about. 928-0104.
I started the day right. I had V8 for breakfast this morning, and I had a good day.
The fact that V8 has few calories is just plain good news to me because I'm going to drink it anyway because I like it.
V8 is like a salad without the crunch.
V8 has a nice, alive flavor. It's zippy.
V8 vegetable juice. It's doing so many people so much good.
Drinking the good things.
The things in V8.
Drinking the sunshine.
And regular V8 isn't the only V8 vegetable juice. There's V8 Spicy Hot, a zesty blend of 8 country vegetables that taste just like it sounds. Spicy and hot. Spicy Hot makes a great little snack and spices up any party. And it's high in nutrition with about half the calories of orange juice. V8 Spicy Hot vegetable juice. Another great way to drink in the good things.
Drinking the good things.
The things in V8.
Meet the qualified counterman from your CarQuest Auto Parts store.
I can help with the right parts. I can help with the right price. I can help with the right advice. I'm the man behind the patch at CarQuest Auto Parts stores.
CR Pro fuel filters grab more grit. Top-of-the-line filter with replaceable mesh element. Super cleans fuel to help prevent carburetor fouling. Polishes fuel cleaner than original equipment specifications. CR Pro fuel filter looks high performance and fits engines from motorcycles to automobiles. The CR Pro fuel regulator acts like a shock absorber in the fuel line to stop pressure surges. Fits all American and imported cars. Both CR Pro fuel regulator and Pro fuel filters are packaged as complete kits with all hoses, clamps, and adapters needed for installation. Available at CarQuest dealers.
Behind the patch at CarQuest, the right place to buy auto parts.
Check the yellow pages for the CarQuest dealer nearest you. Visit Village Auto Supply in Santa Rosa and Village Automotive Center in Walnut Creek.
Oh, wow.
Summertime is time for fun, and Talk Radio 104 wants you to make the most of it. It's a summer of entertainment. Along with the Record Factory, we'll be giving away tickets to great entertainment events all summer long. There's something for everyone: exciting rock, outstanding jazz, and great popular music. How do you win? Stop by a participating Bay Area Record Factory store. Fill out an entry blank for the upcoming event. Each week, a winner will be drawn from each store. No age limit and no purchase is necessary. Friday, July 15th, see Donna Summer at the Concord Pavilion. Pick up an entry blank at the Record Factory. Don't miss Donna Summer in person at the Concord Pavilion. Check out your nearby Record Factory today and make this your summer of entertainment.
And here's the news star of Sex Talk, Rosie Allen.
Oh, I like the term.
Okay.
Talk Radio FM 104 News Time 7:30. I am Rosie Allen. Chrysler Corporation announced today that... Pardon?
I said that.
I forgot. Anyway, Chrysler said today that it's made enough money in the last 3 years to pay off the rest of that billion-dollar government-guaranteed loan. Chairman Lee Iacocca says the company will pay off the remaining $800 million by September, and that's 7 years earlier than expected. And while I'm talking about cars, the major American automakers say their daily sales for early July are the best in 3 years. The rate went up 42.7% from a year ago. Hawaiian Electric Company is still trying to find out why 4 transformers failed, blacking out the island of Oahu. Power has been restored to some areas, and there have been no reports of any serious emergencies. Finally, the British Parliament did away with the death penalty in 1969, and today the House of Commons voted to leave it that way. The deputies voted 368 to 233 against hanging murderers. Bay Area weather is showing mostly fair and cooler tonight, as well as tomorrow. Overnight lows in the 50s and 60s. I'm Rosie Allen again, Talk Radio FM 104, San Francisco.
Had to get the name in, huh? Bye, Rosie. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. On Sex Talk this evening, our guest is Daniel Beaver, who is a licensed marriage, family, child counselor. What else are you? Sex therapist? Author. That's right.
Teacher.
Author. Almost forgot the book. Beyond the Marriage Fantasy. And he's in private practice in the Relationship Counseling Center in Walnut Creek. And our telephone number is 928-0104. Let's put Glenn on the horn. Hello, Glenn.
Hello, Don.
What's on your mind?
Well, first I want to tell you, my wife and I enjoy your show, and I enjoyed your California Girls when it was on.
Well, thank you.
And then I want to tell Dan about a reverse problem.
Okay.
My wife and I have worked out over the last 3.5 years our very warm relationship. We're both very open. We talk a lot. We spend a lot of time together. Of course, we have no children, so that gives us an opportunity there. Mm-hmm. We live in a very small place, so we're very confined, so we've had to learn to kind of live together. And we're extremely close. And all the therapist friends that we have, which are about 6 or 8, plus all of our social friends, tell us we're too close, too dependent on each other, and we're both crazy.
Huh. Do you feel that?
Do I feel that?
Yeah.
Most of the time, no. But after you keep hearing it from all the outside, you begin to wonder.
Well, that's another one of those shoulds, maybe.
Really? I mean, where do they get off telling you that you're unhappy?
Well, I'm not too worried about the friends, but a lot of the therapists keep telling me that.
They're maybe jealous of what you have.
I question that, but, after a while, like I say, after a while, you begin to wonder.
Well, there is this great thing we hear about not being too dependent on the other person. But if you guys are happy with the way things are structured, why, there should be no complaint from anyone.
Well, we get a lot of it, and that's the problem we have, is trying to live with that.
Well, what we need to do, Dan, is come up with a people stopper for Glenn, so you can just lay him out with one line.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Let's see, what could you say?
A people stopper.
I'm happy. Where are you coming off telling me how I should be or something? I don't know.
I'm a therapist, I know that.
Yeah, really.
I just wanted to tell you that, all the things that you're talking about, which I think we've attained, at least to a great degree, most of them, to make a relationship very close. You can have the reverse side of it, too, and get condemned for being in that position as well as being in, not having it.
Yeah, well, we don't live our lives for society's inspection.
Well, that's true.
And you might just say, here's a people stopper for you. Lord, coming from the therapist, here's another should.
Really? That's a good one.
That's good.
Yeah,
All right.
It calls them on their own stuff.
You bet.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Don.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. I want to quote a few of the fantasies that are included in your book, Dan.
Okay.
The good wife fantasies. Let's just run a couple here. The good wife should not think about herself. She should be selfless. She should put her husband's and her children's needs above her own. The good wife should try to please her husband. The good wife should not do anything that would threaten her husband. The good wife should not take responsibility for what she wants in her marriage. The good wife should take care of all the domestic responsibilities, cooking, cleaning, washing, and shopping. And the good wife should be your husband's emotional support. I'm sure these are triggering some
Those are
things.
all shoulds. Those are those shoulds.
Yeah, and here comes the husband. The good husband should not appear vulnerable or weak. The good husband should keep his work and his home life separate. Yeah, we hear that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Close the door on it at 5 o'clock.
Impossible.
Yeah. The good husband should not be dependent on anyone, including his wife.
Right.
And that's the one that Glenn was talking about.
Right.
The good husband should be responsible for everything except the domestic part of having a family. The good husband should be in control of himself most of the time. The good husband should have the final say in all decision-making processes in the marriage. The good husband should strive for materialistic accumulation as his source of status and identity. And the good husband should defend his opinion and fight to win, or he should be competitive. Yeah. Recognize all those, huh? As you were writing the book, did you find any of these in yourself, Dan?
Oh, for sure.
Which ones did pop up?
Oh, the vulnerability one, not wanting to be vulnerable, not wanting to show inadequacy, trying to be strong that way. Keeping the work and home life separate is, you know, in my profession, trying to keep all the heavy stuff I hear and not bring it home with me and let it affect me. I think those are the pretty major ones that I see. I don't feel as hung up on the roles, you know, sexual type cleaning and who does what. I lived alone for a while, so I was used to that. But I think those two are the major ones.
All right, let's see if we can get some reaction from some of our listeners who may find that they've been caught up in the same sort of stuff. Hello, Jeff.
Hello.
Yeah, Dan was remarking a moment ago, gee, we're getting a flurry of men on the show this evening. And that's unusual.
Right.
Is it?
Yeah, it really is. Usually we hear from women more often, but we're delighted.
Well, for starters, this is a virgin caller.
Okay, well, I'll save the music for another time, or do you really want it? I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'll hold it.
Okay.
But what I was wondering about is whether or not Dan has seen any cultural patterns. What I was thinking about is I lived with an Italian woman for 6 years, and she and another Italian woman I know of, and in her relationship with someone else, and a third, all follow the dead same pattern. Get to know a guy, myself, and two other guys that I know, and talk, very extensively about this. And for the first couple of years, there's no such thing as enough sex. And all of a sudden it takes a nosedive, wham, once a month whether you need it or not. And the pattern, even with the three lifestyles are very different, but the pattern is the same. And I was wondering if you've seen any cultural patterns form like that, whether it happens to be with Italian women or men or just anything like that, or whether it's safe to make generalizations like that.
Okay.
Well, it's hard to make generalizations, but there is one pattern that might be what's going on in your experience, is what commonly is called the Madonna whore dichotomy, where the good girl, bad girl problem happens, where, you know what I mean? It's like they're Madonnas, or they're, sex is really, they're split. They have a real conflict. And being married, then they start to seeing themselves more as a Madonna kind of thing.
And the flip side of that is the man with the Madonna whore complex.
He's confused. He wants a good girl sometimes, and it gets really confusing.
Yeah.
That's about it. I can't associate anything with that particular ethnic group other than that.
I would doubt that it has anything to do with being Italian.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might have more to do with religious beliefs than...
Yeah, or maybe just,
Well, it really is true what Jeff is saying. I've heard from a number of my friends that a lot of the women, and they married, went through that pattern, that just wild and imaginative sex before marriage particularly, and then marriage. And
well, I think what happens, Don, which is, the question asked, how do you keep a good sex life alive? Why does it die out? Why does it get old? And what I find is that, and maybe with Italians, since, the stereotype with a lot of emotion, very expressive emotion that might tie into this, but the little resentments in the beginning of the relationship, the irritations, just the living together hassles, don't get resolved. And so they keep stuffing those resentments until they get so strong that they have to turn off emotionally to exist. And so then, of course, being sexual would die from that. Maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So you got to keep those little resentments, stop stuffing them and get them expressed.
That's something that, right now I'm living with my fiance, and having recently met her, but we do a pretty good job of keeping that jazz up on top.
Good, because the statement I always try to make, and that I had to learn in a sense, is that what I would say to my wife is, I want you to tell me all those petty, small resentments. Complain to me. I don't think you're a bitch. I want to know all those little things, because I know if you keep those flowing and you don't hold any back, you're going to stay turned on to me. See, my old attitude is, don't bug me, don't complain. I don't want to hear this stuff. It's just little and trite, and that's a surefire way to turn someone off.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, think about that.
Experience both sides of that.
Good.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, thank you much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Pat, welcome to Sex Talk.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening.
First woman caller this evening.
I have been wanting to call you for so long, and I finally took the opportune time to do it.
Good.
I don't know, I'm filled with so many frustrations, and I'm so tired of my situation that I'm hoping that maybe Dr. Beaver can help me, give me some insight.
Okay, just give us a brief overview of the situation.
Well, I'm married married, and I have 2 kids, and I work evenings. My husband works days. And
another one of those, huh?
yeah, and it's just we don't get together often enough, and he doesn't ever want to talk to me. He doesn't ever want to talk things out. He's just so bogged down at work, and when he comes home, he doesn't want to deal with it, and he just wants to sit back and he wants to relax. And I'm the type of person who wants to talk things out, and I've just gotten to a point where I can't even approach him anymore. It's just too heavy to talk things out, and it just gets real frustrating because I don't get anywhere.
Well, not only Dan's book, Beyond the Marriage Fantasy, I know he's got a lot of that stuff in there, and there's another book that's now in paperback, and that's Passive Men, Wild Women. Boy, it describes your husband to a T.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, I think you have to get to a point where you're going to have to level with him about the consequences of things if things don't change.
I have. In fact, I've told him, I said, look, if we can't work something out, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. I mean, I need to be close to you. I need to have the affection. I need to spend time with you. We need to work things out, talk things out. I've told him that I think that we need to see a marriage counselor.
What'd he say?
And, he just avoids the whole thing.
Do you think, Pat, that apathy has set in on his part?
It could have, yes.
See, one of the things, and I hate to say this in a way, but it's like you can tell him all that stuff, and you can tell him if things don't change that you won't be able to take it. But I think until he really senses that you mean it, then he will get motivated. I find that all the time, that when the man senses that his wife's almost out the door or she means it, and isn't just threatening, then they get very motivated. And then they're saying, they come into my office and they'll want to change things. So what can I do to, help my marriage? But up until that point, they can act real indifferent.
We basically have a real good marriage. He helps out with the kids. He does all the cooking. He enjoys doing that.
So he does the good husband part real well.
Pardon?
So he's good in terms of being your husband and a father.
He really is. He's a good, and he's a good father, and he's a good husband, but it's like our sex life has gone down to almost nothing. And I can't live like that, because once we do have sex, it really pulls our relationship together. It makes it a lot stronger than it was before, but it doesn't happen enough.
It sounds like that's the only place that you're being intimate. You're not being intimate outside the bedroom, so...
Pardon?
It sounds like that you're not very intimate outside the bedroom, and so when you are sexually, that's your only form of intimacy, and so that makes it really important for you.
Right.
But intimacy doesn't seem to be of major importance to him, at least at this point.
I know. I can tell you a little story, Pat and Dan, about one woman I know who finally got her husband's attention. She'd been threatening, if things don't change, something's going to happen. And he didn't hear her. Finally, one day, she got a 3x5 card, and she put this man's name on the card and a telephone number. She put it right in front of his face. And she said, guess what that is? I don't know. What's that? That is a divorce lawyer.
Oh, my God. Well, no, I don't think it's gotten that far. I don't want to do that. I mean, I think we really have a lot going in our relationship.
Well, what's your fear, then, if things just continue the way they are? What's your concern?
Pardon?
What's your concern if it continues the way it is?
Well, I just think we're going to drift further and further away from each other, and I think we have basically a really good relationship. Is just that we don't have, I want to put the time into it, and he can't find the time. It seems like he goes into work on weekends, and to me, I'd rather spend the weekend with each other and with the kids. We spend like the weekend evenings together, and that's nice, but it only ends up being like one night out of the week. I guess it's better than nothing that we manage to get together. But sometimes that's even thrown away because we have 2 kids, and it's hard when you have 2 kids and they're little, and they get, even when you do end up in the bedroom and things start happening, then somebody starts crying, and, then both of you are frustrated and you have a lot of animosities and you're mad at each other, and then there goes that night, and it's just...
Well, my hope for you is that you do something now and not wait, because
I know.
Because my concern is, it sounds like it's really good right now for you in a lot of areas, except the one you're talking about. But my concern is that's going to eat away over time, and it's going to get worse. And and the fact that you're close now to a large degree, I hope you do something now, because a lot of people come to see me when it's too late. And that, let's say 5 years from now, you'll be it probably won't change all that much, and you're going to feel really turned off and real distant, and it might be too late then. And he'll be motivated then.
Yeah.
So somehow.
Well, what do you suggest? I mean, we're both tired. We work hard. He has to take care of the kids during the evenings. I take care of the kids during the day. I come home early enough so that we do have some time in the evenings, but we're just sort of out of sync with each other. You know, he's wound down and I'm wound up, you know, from coming home at night. And
somehow you're just going to have to get him to see that this is really important to you, and that your resentments are just going to get worse, and he has to really see that. And I really, you know, I don't have a set answer how to do that, except that you need to get that across to him before it's too late.
he knows it though, and it's not doing anything. See, that's where the frustration comes in.
Then all I can think is raise it.
I can talk to him, and a lot of times he'll say, you know, don't start on me now. I don't want, you know, it's 11 o'clock. You know, I'm ready to go to sleep. I don't want to get into a heavy discussion because I get too hyped up, and I'm going to have to start drinking some more to get calmed down. And it just...
What happens in the morning?
Frustrating.
How do you act in the morning or in the next day towards him?
He's usually, you know, we don't say... He's usually gone to work in the mornings.
But is it business as usual from your point of view?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a mistake, I would think. See, he needs to see that it can't continue. I mean, okay, he doesn't want